Shirley Judges joins us now. Shirley has been a parish councillor and local member of the Chilterns Conservation Board, and she's lived in the area for 20 years.
Over 20, nearly
Welcome
30.
to the programme, Shirley. Let's start with the basics. Town or village?
Well, can I first pick up about this point with the Victorians, because I'm a historian and I get fed up with this one. What the Victorians did was invest in the best, most advanced communications technology available to them at the time, which happened to be the railways. If the Victorians were around now, they would be investing in broadband and new technologies. They wouldn't be wasting their money on 19th century technology.
What I'm getting from you, Shirley, is that you're not a fan of HS2.
No.
I am. We are struggling to find anybody in this part of the Chilterns.
I think you will, yes.
It is tough, isn't it, to find anybody who says HS2 is a great idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, to go back to your question about Great Missenden, it's obviously, as you say, it is a lovely historic village. Lots to see here, lots of nice places to eat and interesting things to do. But the important thing about it, in the context of HS2, is that it's at the heart of the Chilterns area of outstanding natural beauty, even though it's less than an hour's journey by train from London. And if you come by train, you can come out from Great Missenden Station and walk in any direction, and within 5 minutes you'll find yourself in ancient woodland or in the middle of the countryside.
Is this the ancient woodland that the Transport Secretary says we can move?
Yes.
Justine Greening, did she not say? She's got this notion that
yes.
they can pick up this ancient woodland and move it somewhere else.
That's taken 400 years or more to develop.
I can see a flaw in the plan.
Yes. It's not going to work. That is simply not feasible. So if they destroy ancient woodland, it is gone for good. That's it. That's the end of it. But as I say, you can walk up the hill that way and there's ancient woodland. You can walk the other way, there is ancient woodland, and it takes only a few minutes to get there. And you find yourself in the middle of unspoilt countryside. You could be in the lakes, you could be in the Yorkshire Dales, and yet we are so close to London. And that's the point of areas of outstanding natural beauty. They are designated in law as protected landscapes for the benefit of people living outside them, places like London, Slough, Luton, Milton Keynes. So they can come and they can enjoy the peace and tranquility of the countryside. And that's what the AONB is about, and that's what we have here, and that's what HS2 will destroy.
But apart from the fantastic countryside around it, it is stunningly beautiful, even on a day like today. What is it about Great Missenden that makes it such a special place? It doesn't take a lot to sort of walk up the high street and just to get a sense that this is a rather special town or village.
We call it a village. I mean, it's a big village, but it is a village. It's that it has such deep roots. At the George, there's a building there, the judges, the courthouse, which is 14th century. The church goes back to the 14th century. There's a church down in Little Missenden that goes back to the 10th century. So it has very, very deep roots. And that's not just the building and the settlement. It's also the surrounding countryside. Over towards Chesham, there are Bronze Age field systems still in existence. So I think this is something that has evolved over the centuries and which we are now the custodians for. And as has been said with the AONB, if we don't stand up and protect it, who will?
You're very passionate. I think everyone who lives in this part of the world is very passionate about this rather large, very beautiful village. It has this strong connection with the Roald Dahl, which we'll establish and explore throughout the course of the programme. But who lives here? Because I've been looking at the property prices in this area. They're quite extraordinary.
It is expensive, and that is reflected to some extent by the people who live here. It is older people, it's people who commute into London. But if you go out of Great Missenden itself and into the villages, and also within Great Missenden, we have got affordable housing. We have got people whose families go back into time. The thing to remember about it with this area is obviously it was an agricultural area, and so the villages were very small. So, yes, it has been built up as a result of the railway coming here at the beginning of the 20th century, and there are people whose roots don't go that far back. But there are people whose roots do, and the community, the overall village and the overall landscape is ancient, and that's what makes it special.
Shirley, in all the years you've been here, you must have seen great change.
Not huge change. There has been change, obviously there has, and the village has grown and the sorts of shops in the high street have changed. But I started teaching in this village in 1977. And I see kids now, well, they're not kids. I see people now around that I used to teach who are still about.
Do they live in these £2 million houses around here?
No, but they have their own houses around here. And they have very nice houses around here. And because not everybody, I mean, this is one of the fallacies, not everybody who lives in this area is a millionaire with a £1 million house. There are lots of people on ordinary incomes who've worked extremely hard for what they've got. And I can think of a girl who was in my first class when I started teaching at the local school, whose husband, she and her husband run a haulage company. They started out on what was then a council estate. They have their own home now up in South Heath. They have a couple of kids. They are devastated by this.
Have you ever known anything like this, which has brought not just this village, obviously, but your village together as much as this?
There have been other things, obviously, over the years that have brought the village together, but I think what's particular about HS2 is that it has made people very angry. They know there is no business case for it. The government has stopped trying to pretend that there is. They know that the capacity argument is specious, and that's been shown by the Network Rail's own passenger survey report, which was published last week. They know it's not going to do what the government says in terms of creating jobs and mending the north-south divide. So, as far as they can see, this area is going to be trashed, and so is lots of other lovely countryside right the way up the route, for no good reason.
Shirley, can I ask you, it is very difficult to get hold of anybody who is pro this. This is Tory heartland. Again, I've been a little bit surprised that some of the Tory MPs have been very quiet on this.
Yes, it's sad, isn't it? There are MPs further up the line who have been working with their constituents and have spoken out, and Andrea Leadsom is an example of that. But unfortunately, others are saying, oh, well, we're members of the government and therefore we have to support it. Well, they don't have to support it. They could resign and speak out against it, but they choose not to. But in terms of who does support it, I would say its main supporters are the construction companies, the directors and shareholders who are going to get the contracts to build it and make a lot of money out of it. That's where the pressure for this is
there anything
coming.
the government could do to convince the people of Great Missenden that HS2 is a great scheme?
The government is trying incredibly hard. The government is employing PR people. The government has employed people specifically to go onto social media and spend their time on Twitter and Facebook to try and put across the case for HS2. If there was a case for HS2, they wouldn't need to go to these lengths, but there isn't. And so, no, there's not.
Shirley, pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your passion. Shirley Judges, who is a parish councillor and local member of the Chilterns Conservation Board.